Hi, I'm Judy Mudd, and this art tip is about using water sprayers in watercolor when we paint. Now we all know that we use a sprayer or a mister usually when we just want to reconstitute the paints that have already dried, say on our palette. But we can also use a couple of other kinds of misters in the painting process itself, and that's what I was going to show you today. Let's get started. Now this sprayer is pretty heavy as far as the water coming out of it. So I usually don't use this in the painting process itself, but I do keep it by my palette. I use it frequently if I want to reconstitute, say, a large amount of paint and I want to douse it pretty quickly with water. Then I'll use this one, I'll grab it. But I don't usually use it in the painting process itself because it's just too strong. It's just too strong of a spray for a painting. So I'll put that one to the side and show you these others. Now this one is a hairspray, and what I like about it is it's very fine. You can almost not even see it when it comes out. It's so fine. And what's nice about that is it doesn't remove the paint or make it drip or change the painting in any way. Here's a painting that's dried, and I would like to pull some more lights out of this area here. And so what I would do is just lightly mist it with something like this and wait about 10 seconds and let it soften the paint. And I usually use I'll be honest, I usually use my fingernail, or I will use a palette knife or something sharp that will just scrape out some of the lights that I would like to have. So we waited about 10 seconds. I'll show you my finger. Honestly, I do use my fingernail more than anything. It's probably not great, a great look, but I do use it frequently. And but like a sharp edge will work fine too. But it does do a great job of lifting highlights back into your painting. So that's the little fine mister. It is, like I said, it is hairspray designed to be a nice fine mist. And even, so it works great for something like this. Now these other two, this one and this one, they actually have a spray that's very similar. It's very irregular and very scattered. Some drops are bigger than others. Like I said, they spray very similarly, and you can adjust it according to how you squeeze it or how you press it. I use this one for my plein air bag, and then this one I leave here at home in my studio because I don't have to refill it very often. But this is how I use these. I'll show you an example. Take this one down here of one that I worked on earlier today. And you can see that here in the foreground I have a lot of variations of color, and it's still being worked on. I'm going to build it up even further. But how I did this was I laid down some raw sienna, and I took that sprayer and I did a light spray over it. And what it does is it lets the light come through on the paper. It leaves little holes of white. I let that dry. Then I added another layer of color, probably looks like maybe burnt sienna, maybe green. I sprayed it again, let that dry, and then came back in with blues and pinks and other colors, and same process over and over until I'm happy with the result. And then I just make sure I let it dry flat. And then I can come in now and add some same opaque colors, some grasses, and it just makes a nice texture on the foreground. Looks like a field of flowers actually right now because of all the colors. So let me show you how it actually looks when you're doing it. I'll mix up a color here that's going to be strong enough for you to see. Now I usually start with my lighter colors on the base of it. So maybe a raw sienna or something like that. Now this is raw umber, so it's a little bit darker so you can see it on the camera. So I put it in about like that, and I'll let that set up just for like 60 seconds or so. really depends on where you're painting. If you're painting outside, you may need to go ahead and spray it right away if it's a warm day. But like my studio here is in my basement, and so it is a cool and damp place, and so I usually have to wait a few minutes, and then I lightly spray it. And you can see the effects that it brings into the paint. It's just a beautiful pattern of lights coming through that paint. So what I do is I let that dry, and if I like the way it looks, I lay it flat to let it dry rather than upright, because if you leave it upright, then it may tend to even make some other patterns that you don't really like. So once you like it, lay it flat, let it set up and dry a little bit, and then you can come back and add another layer of color, spray it again, and keep doing that over and over until you're happy with what you see. I'm going to let this, try to let this dry, and I'll put another color on top of it so you'll see how that works. I know they'll probably mess this up since it's not completely dry yet, but let's put some blue in there. So now when I spray it, you actually will see some raw sienna beneath it. And it's, perfect for something like this, which is in a foreground in a field, in a landscape. But it also would be a beautiful texture for, say, a vase, a street that maybe has some texture in it, or a road. It would be great for background for a portrait. So there's a lot of uses for something like this, and it's something that you really can't paint with a brush. It's very unique, and like I said, look how it's running. I can even tap it back and make it come this way. Now it really looks like a field, doesn't it? So it's a really nice thing to have. Normally we keep these sprayers in our bags when we go painting, and so take a look and see what you have at home. You might have something like this, and chances are you probably have something like this in your household. And hang on to these bottles and try some different textures with them and see what you can make with them, and utilize them as part of your tools in your watercolor painting. Okay, I will see you next time. Thanks for watching.